Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we are going to talk about my new strategy in paying off my student loans. With the recent Biden-Harris administration announcement of canceling student loans, it has a very big implication to a lot of student borrowers' lifestyles, their life, their finances. Now that is very true for me as well. Even though there's only $500 left in my balance, I still have to think about what else I can do to actually maximize that relief. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I am going to talk about my new strategy. What am I going to do about it? What are the best case and worst case that I've thought about since using this strategy? But before we begin, if you're new here, my name is Jed and I post personal finance and dividend investing videos and pretty much anything related to money. But right now I am documenting my journey in paying off my student loans. So if you're interested in seeing how everything unfolds or just want to show your support, then please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and also sharing this video. Now with that out of the way, let's get back to the main thing. All right, so I am going to pay off my student loans. That is pretty much the goal. However, with the new changes, with the announcement and all that stuff, it also has to change. My strategy in paying off my student loans has to change as well. So the very first thing that I've actually decided to do is stop making payments. Well, I know it's kind of crazy because there's only $500 left, and why did I have to decide to kind of like stop making payments? Maybe in 2 or 3 weeks I'm already done, but still, why? Now the main reason for this one is because of course I wanna cash in quote unquote, or at least maximize the relief that I can actually get from the announcement that the Biden administration just did. Canceling student loans, that's a very big thing. We were all shocked that they were actually going to cancel up to $20,000 in student loans per borrower. Now, of course, when I heard about this and kind of like thinking about myself as well, it kind of like sucked because I've already been paying my student loans and I was already on the way to actually getting them paid off. And then here it comes, the cancellation announcement that, hey, you could actually get up to $20,000 of your student loans relieved, canceled, forgiven, whatever, however you want to use the word. So one of the strategies that a lot of people have been using and I've seen everywhere as well online is that they are going to refund their student loans because that would at least maximize the forgiveness or the relief that they can get. Back in the CARES Act, they actually put there that you can request for a refund from your loan servicer all the payments that you have made during the COVID era or the COVID phase. So basically that's March 13, 2020 until today. So if you've made any payments during that time, then you can request from your loan servicer to get your refund. And now last week, that's what I did. I actually called up Ed Financial. I was pretty much on hold maybe around 10-20 minutes. My conversation with the woman was only like around 30 minutes. So it didn't take that long, it was very fast. I basically just asked her if I can request for a refund and she said yes. Let me just go ahead, calculate everything. She did have a hard time though, kind of like collating everything. It took a while. That's why it took 30 minutes. The conversation could have been maybe less than that, but it took longer because I was making weekly payments. So there was a lot of transaction every month. There was like 4 to 5 every month, and she had to kind of like collate everything. And anyway, with that kind of like out of the way, she was able to submit the refund request, and then that was it. Now, after doing the refund request, I kind of like asked her different questions as well regarding the entire process and some questions regarding the announcement from the Biden-Harris administration. Now, in my previous video, kind of like explaining the announcement, they've told me that they don't have much information as well, more than any that we do right now. Whatever they see in public, that's also what they got. Now, in regards to my refund request, the unfortunate thing here is that she said that it was about to be 150 business days before the refund request actually pushes through. So that means from last week up until April 2023, that's the only time I will actually get my refund. And that refund will basically be reinstated back, or kind of like the balance will be reinstated back into my account. So however much I actually paid for. Now in this case, all my federal loans were around $12,000. So maybe around $11,500 was paid off during that pandemic phase. So that is somewhat what I can expect to come back to my account. However, here's the problem, and these are the best case scenarios and the worst case scenario that I've thought of. And by the way, in regards to these best case and worst case scenarios, I have to think about different factors to come into this. And the first one is basically the timeline in which the application opens for the student loan cancellation. And then for now, we don't know when that's going to be, so we're just waiting. Now the second factor that I've thought about is basically the timeline in which I would actually receive my refund and then have my balance reinstated back into my student loan account. So that's something that I have to think about. So like I mentioned earlier, that's 150 business days. That could be earlier, it may be even later. So In my calculation from last week, it was around April 2023. So that's around, a couple of months before I actually get back my refund. And that's one of the things that I have to factor in when I had to look into these different scenarios. Another thing that I had to think about was the final extension to the payment pause, because we have been given the date of December 31, 2022. So basically we go back into repayment January 1, 2023. So those are the three main things that I have to think about when it comes to these scenarios. And the very first scenario, or the best scenario in this case, is that everything falls into place. I get my refund back just in time for the relief application to actually open, and then after that I can, apply for it, get my refund in full. Everything's good. I get back at least more than $10,000 back into my account. So everything's good, right? Now, the worst case that I've thought about is basically all about the timeline in which I receive my refund. The first worst case scenario is that I don't get my refund in time when the application opens. And who knows, the application might have a deadline as well, maybe only until, the end of the year. And that's not really the ideal situation for me, because that means that if the application opens, let's just say, and from what I've heard, they will open around early October. I'm not really sure if that's true, but it's still up in the air. But anyway, if that is the case, there's a deadline to the application, I don't receive my refund back, that means I don't have any outstanding balance big enough to kind of like maximize the relief, because in this case, I would only be getting $500 in my account. So if there's only a $500 outstanding balance in my account, that's the only amount that's going to be forgiven. So those are basically the worst case that I would think about. The first one is that I don't get the refund back in time, and the second one is that I don't get the relief schedule or get into the deadline in time. But in any of those two cases, I would still be paying off my student loans anyway. Let's just say, imagine that like there's $500 left, and then there's actually my refund coming in already. So that's around April 2023. That's my best estimate, at least. So by the time April 2023 comes, I get my refund, my balance comes back. I still pay it off with the refund that I get, even though I don't qualify anymore for the relief. So that's pretty much my idea there. That's one of the worst case scenarios that I've thought about. Now, the worst case scenario is this. If the relief plan doesn't come through, then that means I don't get any, relief at all. I don't get any of my balances forgiven, but that's still okay, at least in my opinion, because if that doesn't come through, it doesn't pass or whatever, there are some roadblocks ahead of it, then I would get my refund still on April 2023 around that time, and then I would still pay it off back again anyway. And then after that, whatever is left, I would assume there's like at least $500 plus interest, I would say, since the extension ends. There will be like 4 months of interest that would accrue. That would be manageable already, and then I would just pay it off out of pocket, that $500 left. And those are the 4 scenarios that I've thought about when using this strategy that a lot of people have been using ever since the announcement was made. So basically, to summarize everything, the strategy is for me to get a refund, wait for the refund to come through, and then have my new balance again, or my old balance, reinstated, and then have that amount forgiven so that I can fully maximize the relief that I can get. And the 4 scenarios that I have is that the best case scenario is that I would get everything that I wished for, maximizing my student loan relief. Worst case next is that I don't get my refund in time for the relief. The third scenario would be like I wouldn't be able to apply for this relief in time. And then after, the worst scenario here is that the relief plan doesn't actually come through. There's a delay, whatever. In the end, though, all those 3 worst scenarios at the bottom is that I would still be paying them off with the refund that I get. So that's pretty much it for the entire video, guys. Let me know in the comments below, what is your strategy in making your student loan payments with this new announcement, or what is your strategy in fully paying them off with this very big and very, very important kind of like milestone for us in this year. Let me know what your strategy is. Let me know if you're using the same strategies I am using, and if you have any questions regarding this, let me know in the comments below. If you haven't seen the announcement yet, then where have you been living? You gotta be on top with this thing, because this is your student loans. So make sure to watch my previous video regarding the announcement. And also, if you have any questions or any comments regarding this, let me know in the comments below. If you want content just like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you can get updated whenever I post new content just like this one. And if you are on Instagram, please add me there at DailyRed as a friend so that we can chat, collaborate, and maybe even exchange some ideas. Thank you again so much for watching. Have an awesome and wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.